Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Vesey Einhorn. I am the Executive Director at the Coordinating Council of Broward. Thank you so much for joining us. Those that know me know I am a stickler for starting on time. Your time is valuable. Welcome today. The Coordinating Council of Broward is hosting a series of online workshops to educate the community at large on the nuance, complexities, and partnerships and solutions that drive homelessness and our housing affordability crisis here in Broward. So the workshops are designed to keep you informed, to recognize local housing leaders and subject matter experts, and really, again, to just have more robust conversations. Today's topic is homelessness, housing affordability, and the fiscal cliff. And today we are joined by three really impressive presenters. I am thankful for their time today. We have Commissioner Ben Sorensen, City of Fort Lauderdale, District 4. Commissioner Sorensen returns to the City Commission after previously representing District 4 from 2018 to 2022, including 2 terms as Vice Mayor. For those of you that don't know him, he is a dedicated leader with a background in military service and community involvement. Commissioner Sorensen has worked with residents to solve key issues such as the homeless encampment at the downtown library and implementing community court in the city of Fort Lauderdale. He currently serves as a Navy Reserve Lieutenant Commander and is on the board of the Broward MPO, the Lauderdale Isles Water Management District, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Ben and his wife Anna are proud parents of 2 daughters, and Ben and I over the years have enjoyed exchanging stories about having 2 girls. Patrice Paldino is the director of the Broward County Housing Options Solutions and Supports Division, affectionately known as HOSD. As director of HOSD, Patrice leads a team of 55 people who work to provide a wide range of services. You'll hear about some of those services for those who are unhoused. They also include the human rights section, and again, you'll hear a little bit about that. Patrice herself is a Florida attorney who has practiced in various areas of civil litigation, including real estate, contracts, and landlord-tenant law. Previously, Patrice served as executive director of Coast to Coast Legal Aid of South Florida, overseeing a staff dedicated to preserving the rights of elderly, victims of crime, and persons in need of public assistance. Prior to that, Patrice worked at Legal Aid of Broward County for 10 years as the director of housing rights programs. She provided leadership and management in the development and coordination of legal services to low-income tenants who are facing eviction, termination of subsidized housing benefits, or were residing in homes that had unacceptable living conditions. Last but certainly not least, Maria Hernandez. She is the Chief Program Officer of Community Impact at United Way of Broward. In her role, Maria oversees the development and facilitation of United Way's community initiatives, creating and building community partnerships, growing key community relationships, and formulating comprehensive programs to demonstrate change and improvement in the community. I could tell you those are not words. Maria does pretty much everything under the sun and then some. Over the past 20 years, Maria has been involved in designing and administering human service programs, clinical interventions, and research in the areas of health, behavioral health, education, financial stability, homelessness, and emergency services within several nonprofit agencies in New York and Florida. She joined United Way in 2013 as the VP of Program Operations, where she's been responsible for the operations of their Community Impact Department and the Commission on Substance Abuse. She has also coordinated data-driven programs, funding processes while maintaining a focus on goals and outcomes for benchmark achievement. She serves as the principal professional officer for the Commission on Substance Abuse Board of Governors, holds a master's in social work from Fordham University, is a licensed clinical social worker, and a Parent Leadership Trainer Institute trainer. So clearly we've got a really impressive group of speakers, and really I don't want to waste any time on anything else other than turning it over to our speakers. So we're going to hear from Patrice, who's got a presentation. Then we're going to move on to Commissioner Sorensen. We'll have Maria round us out, and then we are going to take questions. If you would, please send your questions to me so that we could manage that process. I know that Commissioner Sorensen is really going to also provide an opportunity to just directly ask him questions. So with that, Patrice, I want to turn it over to you. And again, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate being here today. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk to you about the great work that's being done in the county. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, that's where I lost you. All right, so thank you again for having us. Just briefly want to go through what the county's doing. As Sandra said, there's a lot going on here and we can capture some of it, but certainly not all of it. So welcoming questions later or after this presentation, certainly feel free to reach out to me. So our objectives today are to talk about the homeless continuum of care, the range of services that we provide through the county, as well as in partnership with our providers. Provide you a little bit of an overview of the funding that the county has committed to these programs, as well as talk about some strategies that we've implemented and other things that we're looking forward to maybe looking into in the future. So who is HOSD? HOSD is the Housing Options, Solutions, and Supports Division. It is the newest division in Broward County. It's about 2 years old. We are, as you can see here, we basically have 3 sections. We have a housing section, our operations, and our human rights section. Human rights is incorporated in our approach because we do believe that getting to a place where people can enjoy safe, decent, affordable housing must include the recognition that we have to make sure that it is also free of discriminatory practices. So the human rights section investigates fair housing and discrimination complaints, and they fall under.
Patrice, I still see the first slide, CCB workshop. I don't see that slide about HOSD.
Why? Now?
Yeah, now I see it.
Okay. I don't know what. Are you seeing it in presentation mode?
No, but at this point.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not. All right. I'll do it this way. Sorry about that. HOSD operates from a housing first approach to provide programs and services for individuals and families who are experiencing or at risk of homelessness in Broward County. And so we recognize there's not just one solution. We're trying to look at a variety of diverse options and develop plans that are evidence-based and supported by data. When we say we want to work from a collaborative partnership stance, it's really, we think it's really important to recognize not just collaborative means working with others. It means listening to others, listening to other ideas, recognizing that while the county takes a leadership role in addressing homelessness, we certainly don't have all the answers. We need our partners to come forward with us and move through this process to help us try and design new ideas that we can launch together in a collaborative approach. But certainly it's not just the activity of collaborating together, it's the thought that goes into collaborating. We believe in prioritizing housing, and we're looking at more scattered site approaches, giving more flexibility, trying to decrease the impact of NIMBY and the stigma that's associated with perhaps buildings that are dedicated to the formerly homeless. We really value the input of people with lived experience in developing new ideas on how we can fill rent gaps, looking at shared housing options, looking at creative and open-minded innovations as we move forward, looking at ideas such as hotels and other options. Idea of some of what the county is doing. In addition to HOSD, we have the Family Success Administration Division. And generally speaking, HOSD is dealing with homelessness, the persons who are already experiencing homelessness. Family success is a preventive component to our approach. So you can see here we've listed several service categories of what each of our divisions do. HOSD, we receive state, local, and federal funding, as well as general funds from the county to implement all of these services. And we also, some of the programs are in-house. Some of our permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, transitional programs are through the county staff, and the others we push out through an RFP process and a competitive process to our nonprofit providers to provide the services directly. So as you can see here on the left, HOSD, we own the shelters, but we are in partnership with Broward Partnership for the Homeless to operate those shelters. In addition, we provide support to the Salvation Army and women in distress. We have our permanent supportive rapid rehousing, transitional housing, and our landlord incentive program, where we work with landlords in the community to make available to our residents affordable housing, and also to recognize that we need to overcome some of the barriers that other landlords might use as incentive not to rent to our tenants. But these landlords are generous and work with our tenants to overlook recent evictions and so forth. We provide them some financial incentive as well. We have case management, housing navigation, which is a program to assist people in connecting with landlords who are willing to rent to them. We have street outreach at the airport and transit, as well as other programs, medical respite, hospital liaison, mobile sanitation, which is the shower bus. And we also have a legal assistance program. Similarly, from a preventive perspective, Family Success Center provides financial assistance for rent, mortgage, utility, security deposits. They also provide housing navigation, first-time home buyer, home repairs, vehicle repair, because as we all know, most of the people that we serve are just one problem away from an eviction, right? A car breaks down, they can't go to work, and an eviction is coming. And they also support legal services, case management, and eviction and foreclosure prevention, excuse me. Next slide. So I just want to take a moment to recognize, in addition to the county's commitment, financial commitment, providing financial support to HOSD and our partners, we are also fortunate that Broward County Transit and the Broward County Aviation Department provides funding for targeted street outreach at their locations. So in partnership with these other departments, we fund Care Resource and Task Force to go to the airport and to transit locations to provide targeted street outreach to people who are using those locations as shelters. In addition, just a little interesting new program that we have, Broward County Animal Care is in partnership with HOSD, providing veterinary care, food, supplies, microchipping, and even adoption for animals that are accompanying people who are living on the street or recently housed through our programs. They first attended our homeless symposium in November, this past November, that occurred at the Fort Lauderdale Community Court. They are also scheduled to come to the next one in June, which will be in Hollywood. And they're very excited about being able to provide this service to our clients. So it's a really interesting partnership and has a lot of forward movement. Next slide. So here's an idea of the money that goes into just HOSD. You can see the totals at the bottom of the commitment to all of these programs. I believe the slides will be available to you if you want to be able to see, keep these for future reference. But you can see there's $46 million total funding going towards our programs. And on the right, the long list of providers that are participating in this homeless effort. Next slide. This slide represents where we can talk about interventions in our process. If you start from the left, outreach, all of our clients come in through outreach, and then they are put through a prioritization process through family shelter. They may go to an emergency shelter, transitional housing. They come in through coordinated entry. They're assessed. What are their needs? What are their immediate? Purple services, legal services, mobile sanitation, case management, housing navigation, medical respite. All of those services are available to everyone that comes in through the starting point at outreach. However, everybody gets stuck at the same spot. Everyone gets stuck at affordability, right? If we're looking at where is the real problem, it doesn't matter what point of the system you are on the left-hand side, you're still going to get stuck at the affordability. So we can and do need additional shelter space. We do need to increase direct service funding, but ultimately, no matter how many shelter beds we have, no matter how much legal services we provide, we're still getting stuck at that same spot. So the third intervention has to be looking at how do we decrease the affordability gap. Right now, in the housing component, on the other side of the stop sign, the right side of the stop sign, you see some of the programs that we're using to try and push through that affordability stop sign. But there is where a third opportunity is to really be able to make an impact in the system. So those are the opportunities as we see it of where interventions could come in: additional shelter space, direct service funding, or hitting the affordability gap right head on. Next slide, please. So as you can see, as I mentioned, one of the options that we have is to add shelter beds. Right now, we have 569 beds available through the continuum of care, through the homeless assistance centers, which, as I mentioned earlier, are run by Broward Partnership for the Homeless and the Salvation Army. Next slide, please. So what kind of solutions can we look at, right? We can increase shelter capacity. This year, we finally completed some restoration and some repairs to the central hack, which is located in Fort Lauderdale. The central hack was operating at a capacity of 150 persons for some time, even though at full capacity it should be at 230. So we were down 80 beds for quite some time. That now has been fully restored. They are operating at full capacity at 230. We are looking at further expansion, trying to look at spaces in the central hack to retrofit and make additional beds available. That is an important partnership we have with the city of Fort Lauderdale as well to increase capacity. We are also looking at expansion of the North Hack, whether or not we can do similar things at the Pompano location to change some of the spaces there, say from office spaces to beds. We are exploring partnerships with recovery centers and transitional housing. Again, with the city of Fort Lauderdale, we're in conversations about safe parking programs, which can be controversial conversations, but definitely conversations that we need to have. There is some reluctance by some who say, well, we're letting people sleep in their cars, but there's also the recognition people are sleeping in their cars. So can we do it better or safer for them? And then finally, there's conversations about the feasibility of pallet shelters, and those are conversations that we're having with municipalities. We can also increase housing options. We can talk about rent subsidies. People are maybe $1,000 short, $1,500 short every single month because they just can't afford the rent. It's not that they don't have income, it's that the rent prices have just skyrocketed. So can we close the gap for them? Is it cheaper for us to close the gap as opposed to putting them in shelter? I will tell you, to put someone in a shelter for a year is approximately $16,000 per person. So just by way of example, if we were to supplement a family's rent for $1,000 a month, you're talking about $12,000 a year for a family. That is a more viable option than putting, say, 4 people in shelter for a year at $16,000 per person. We have permanent supportive housing programs, which is basically what I've just described to you, is assisting people with paying their rent, and rapid rehousing programs with several of our providers. We are also looking at shared housing and hotel options. Next slide, please. So shared housing, what does that look like? At an average of about $800 per month, $9,600 per year per individual, and you compare that to what I just mentioned of about $16,000 per person per year, again, you can see that shared housing, which is housing and not sheltering someone, is a fiscally more sound proposition. It does require, at this time, the program does require the participant to have income to support that. but it does come with assistance, some light case management, some client incidentals. And we're also finding, research to support that it's a very good option for the elderly and also for veterans, which is not listed there. But this is an interesting concept. We do have some people that we are supporting in shared housing. These are, for example, a house that has 4 bedrooms and 4 people are living together. So as I said, it's a sound financial consideration as well as providing a sense of community for people who are living in these programs. Next slide, please. We did a pilot. We called it RIP, Rapid Rehousing Innovation Program. AIDS Health Foundation recently purchased a hotel on Broward Boulevard, the Days Inn, near the Salvation Army, just east of 95. We were able to support 15 units there. It's a traditional motel, 2 beds, 4 people, microwave, refrigerator, bathroom. We gave them some client incidentals. We gave them, for example, an air fryer and other things to help make it a little bit more of a home environment. We housed 18 people in those 15 units. 3 of them are minor children, 7 people over 55. And interestingly, 11 of those 18 exited shelter. So when we did this pilot, we also had a cascading effect of releasing 11 beds in the shelter, opening them up for 11 people to move from the street into the shelter. So it had that dual effect. We are currently paying the rent $750 a month from February to June. We provided Publix gift cards and the move-in cost of $1,250. So in that last to the right under the house, you'll see the total project cost us $76,250 to house 18 people for 5 months, as opposed to $122,000 to shelter them in the shelter. So again, not a traditional housing option, thinking outside the box, trying to be innovative, putting people in places they can afford until they can move on to something else, but definitely a more financially sound investment and not a shelter option. Next slide, please. We have our legal services prevention tool, which is one of my favorites. The Bob Manny Foundation is supporting legal aid, has been supporting legal aid service of Broward County with an attorney and some rent assistance dollars. The county recently, also the Broward County Commission dedicated another $500,000 this fiscal year. This added coast to coast legal aid, which is dedicated to providing services for the elderly. So their project is specific to persons over the age of 60. Each program got an attorney from the county, as well as we have $100,000 dedicated to providing rent assistance to provide the arrear payments for persons that are facing eviction. Further, Children's Services Council has dedicated $500,000 to create a similar program. These programs negotiate settlements and dispose of evictions. And at the bottom, the Florida Bar Foundation several years ago conducted a study, and their findings were that for every dollar that you commit to legal services, the system sees a $7 savings. So that's important as well as we talk about why investing money in prevention, not just to decrease the stress that's associated and the possibility that you may become homeless, but it's also fiscally sound to look at these programs because they have a $7 return. Next slide. House Bill 1365, as you may be aware, prevents counties and municipalities from allowing people to sleep or camp on public property. It does not provide money for services. It's just to prevent the jurisdictions from allowing this to occur. Next slide, please. Trying to move along. Here's the information that if someone wants to put in a complaint that someone is sleeping on public property, the county has set up a complaint process. Next slide. Sorry, I'm trying to move along. And basically, the county plan is to continue to provide the excellent services that the county staff and our nonprofit providers provide every single day. It does not matter to us if you have called 311 and asked for help on your own, or a business submitted a complaint that there's people sleeping on a public space. No matter how you came to our attention, you are going to get the excellent services that we try to provide to each and every one of the people that we serve, without trying to increase the impact that it looks like we're criminalizing homelessness. Next slide. We have targeted outreach, as I said, at various locations. We are at community events. We are increasing our marketing campaign to raise awareness about what services are available, what it means to be homeless, and decreasing stigma. We have several successes connecting people with housing case management and detox through our partnership with BARC. Next slide. And that's it. Thank you. Sorry to run through the end, but certainly will be available if you need me. Thank you again for allowing me to have this opportunity.
Patrice, thank you so much for that. If I could have, I would have let that go on for a lot longer, because there was so much in that and so much interest and so many follow-up questions. But in the interest of time, I'd like to move the conversation along. So if you have a question that could be addressed offline directly with any of our speakers, I'll make sure that you get their contact information. If not, then we'll have time for speakers towards the end. But I am going to move on. Again, for those of you that don't know Commissioner Ben Sorensen, especially if you are a resident or a business owner in the city of Fort Lauderdale, he really is a blessing. And so, Commissioner, I really want to turn it over to you just to really talk about what the city of Fort Lauderdale is doing, and specifically some of your efforts and your leadership in this space.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sandra. That's kind words. I appreciate that. Patrice, thank you. Patrice crushed it. The county's doing great work, and just share a couple things that we're doing in the city. So proud of city of Fort Lauderdale and taking a leadership role in homelessness and affordable and workforce housing. We, as a city, we dedicate about $12 million a year towards homeless service providing services. We have a homeless task force and our police department, and we provide funding support for a variety of services. So really proud of what we're doing as a city. Just some of the things that we're working on just historically, and many of you may know this already, but really proud in partnering with Judge Barner, if you know Judge Barter of the Broward County Judicial Circuit, in forming, and Judge Tudor, the first community court, which is to not criminalize homelessness, but to help support homeless individuals who are cited legally, and to provide a wraparound case management support for them. So really invite you, come to Wednesday morning, any Wednesday morning, right next to the bus station off Broward Boulevard, and you'll see our community court building right there, where we're, again, with all these amazing service providers, probably many of you on here are part of that, but helping provide housing support, helping provide identification, helping provide addiction recovery, and so forth. So first in the state happened in Fort Lauderdale here in Broward County. Proud of that. As a city, one of the things since I got back on the commission, I've been doing is every 2 weeks or so, we get together with the service providers, again, many of them here on the call, with affordable and workforce housing developers, with the city. Patrice is part of it. Thank you, Patrice, for being part of that as a county leader. And we basically get together every 2 weeks, say, okay, who's doing what? How are we as a city working together? What can we be doing better? How can I, as Ben, better support what's happening? We collaborate and align. As Patrice mentioned, I don't know if it's happening in other cities, but in Fort Lauderdale, we're pushing forward with 2 proposals for safe parking. We're also working with these affordable out and workforce housing developers to rehabilitate existing apartment buildings and hotels. We're driving forward on that. The United Way, I know Kathleen's on the call. They have been amazing. Years ago, I was blessed to be part of a small group of folks that focused on veterans and the homeless challenges they're facing. And so with Maria and and Kathleen and other leaders of the United Way, we formed Mission United, which is serving veterans around the gaps that they have. So legal services, dental services, housing support. Anyway, United Way is doing an amazing job driving Mission United ahead. And then we obviously also have Live Local coming into play, which again, I know many of you are aware of and are tracking, but that's going to add affordability into the city. And there are some challenges with that act that I don't like. And we're working with the legislature to make that more appropriate for our city. And we're making some good progress there. So we have several of those Live Local projects that are coming towards Fort Lauderdale. And then we have our own housing authority in the city of Fort Lauderdale, where basically my view is take city-owned property and let's build workforce and affordable housing on it. So we've been driving forward hundreds and hundreds of units in the city of Fort Lauderdale. We've been able to put together. We've got probably about 1,000 more in the pipeline that we're pushing on. So excited about that. And my long-term view is just we are in a housing affordability crisis. We in the city of Fort Lauderdale take that very seriously. And then the solution is more workforce and affordable housing. We need to percent it out as a percent of AMI, provide wraparound case management support, and really help people find the solutions they need. So I'll stop there. I'm happy to take questions or comments. I put my contact info in the chat. If any of you are interested in joining our informal homelessness working group, welcome to join. Or if you have, you all know this stuff better than I do in a lot of ways. So ideas, improvements, what I can be doing better, please email or text or call. And thank you. And I'll stop for any questions or comments.
Commissioner, thank you so much. I want to certainly open it up. I know that there were some questions and a concern in the chat, and so we made sure that that attendee had your contact information. That would probably be better dealt with offline. But certainly,
yeah, I see that from Ahmed. Maybe, yeah, Ahmed, drop me an email. Let me know, what happened, and I'm happy. Or call me if you'd rather call than email.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
And Sandra, thank you for your leadership on this. You're at the state level, you're moving and grooving. And so I'm glad we got state powerhouse in our backyard here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner. And since we are moving along and we might end up having some time for questions, I do want to continue to move along the agenda. So Maria, again, anyone that isn't familiar with Housing United, I'm really excited to provide another opportunity for Maria to really speak. I know that we've got Kathleen on the call as well. It takes a lot of leadership to get into this space. I often talk about the macroeconomics of housing affordability and really sort of recognizing that it's not just a will, but it's finding the dollars. And so I'm going to turn it over to Maria to talk a little bit about Housing United. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sandra. Oh my gosh, I got to follow Ben. This is hard. Jenna, if you can help me put up our presentation. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'll take the opportunity to share a little bit about the work that United Way is doing. Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it in its presentation mode. Great.
Okay, excellent. So I'll tell you a little bit about the work that United Way has been doing around housing, but I want to give you an overview of who we are for those of you that are not familiar with us. Our United Way, we are a funder. We are also a service provider in our community. We act as a backbone organization for Broward County. Sometimes we are leading initiatives. Sometimes we are following. Sometimes we are just conveners. So we implement a collective impact model and framework where we adapt depending on what the needs are of the community and what our community partners ask us to do sometimes. So at this moment, we are funding about 130 vital programs in the community. And we are also running 11 in-house initiatives. And I will share with you a little bit more about that. So in regards to housing, which is the focus today, housing and homelessness, Diana, if we can go to the next slide. Just wanted to remind you, and I know Patrice and also Ben touched on this, the huge need in Broward County that we have around housing. And I want to start by saying that, we cannot disconnect the dialogue between workforce housing and affordable housing, and homelessness. Affordable housing, workforce housing is the foundation to ending homelessness. They don't disconnect, they go together. Affordable housing, workforce housing, however we want to call it, is the foundation to ending homelessness. And I just, you can see in these slides, a few things that I want you to see, and I would like to highlight is that for a 1-bedroom apartment, the average rent price is $1,900. For a 2-bedroom, $2,500 average. 3-bedroom, $3,100. No one making minimum wage can afford those rent prices. We also have about 25 affordable housing units for every 100 families in Broward County. So imagine that the crisis, it keeps growing. It's like a snowball. It keeps augmenting, and we need to do something about it ASAP. So, Jenna, if we can go to the next one. So as a result of all of these and the crisis that we see in Broward County, United Way, several years ago decided that housing and homelessness was one of our priorities. So one of our priorities is to increase housing in our community to address the homeless situations. And we decided to organize this under a strategic plan. Our strategic plan is a 5-year plan, and basically it was developed with the community participating. We are community partners, and also we conducted several community conversations where we asked the community for feedback. How do you think we need to approach this work? We also met with a lot of our the constituents, a lot of our community partners, and they all contributed to this plan. It's a 5-year plan, and it's focused on 3 areas of work. If we can go to the next slide. So the plan is based in 3 areas of work. After doing all of the community conversations, after doing all the research that we did, we learned that there are three areas of work that we needed to concentrate if we really, really wanted to make a difference in the entire community. So the plan that we have is based on those 3 areas. So our pillar, the number 1 is the root causes of homelessness. The second one is increasing programs and prevention around affordable housing and homelessness. And the third one is improving quality of life. I'll tell you a little bit about each one of those pillars if we can move to the next slide. So you get an idea of how our work is translating in this area. So in the area of public policy, we're looking at advocacy, looking at system improvements, community engagement, and affordable housing preservations. So some of the work that we do around this area is supporting policy changes to increase affordable housing, supporting policy changes to increase access to livable wages, quality childcare, education. We advocating for policies that discriminalize homelessness. We are also targeting specific funding to affordable housing and homelessness, and working with the entire community around things and strategies that can be implemented at the governmental level. So that's basically what happens in that first pillar, and a lot of work is around that. In the second pillar, a lot of our work is increasing, programs and prevention. And basically is, we're looking at increasing emergency assistance programs and resources for the community. We fund services specifically for hospital and the criminal justice system to equip organizations with how they do diversion plan and strategies to make sure that homeless individuals, instead of, or individuals experiencing homelessness, instead of being released directly out of jail into the street, that they can be released into transitional facilities and stuff like that. This is just to give you an example of how this come to life. And then looking at stable housing, how can we create programs, a support program in the community that support more affordable housing and provide the incentives and the subsidies to keep people housed. And one of the initiatives that we have done is developing a pool of landlords. We have over 170 landlords that we work with and we have relationship with, where sometimes we do master leasing, sometimes we just lease with the client's name, and sometimes we just have a relationship with them so that they know that if they have any unit that's available, they can reach out to us. So that's how pillar number 2 comes to life. And then the quality of life. Quality of life for those that are already experiencing homelessness. And this looks at offering, volunteer opportunities to companies and in the private sector to help and to donate to enhance the life experiences of individuals experiencing homelessness. We do a lot of donation drives. We just want to enhance the living condition of individuals experiencing homelessness. And we also prioritizing funding for low barriers emergency shelters and facility. And there's time that when that's not available, United Way sponsor and subsidize the payments for hotels so that individuals can stay in hotels until we find a stable place for them. So those are some of the samples. Moving to the next slide. Again. So you probably saying, so how all of these, how everything that we have said that we do in those three pillars, how does that translate into the work? This is just to give you an idea. For example, we are funding right now 20 programs, just doing gap funding to developers and also buying new units for Broward County residents. Rapid rehousing, last year we housed 1,500 veterans out of the streets, out of vulnerable situations into housing, some of them transitional housing. We provided eviction prevention programs. We partner with 5 agencies to do emergency assistance to clients, and we ensure that the funding was available to make sure that those that we were able to prevent them from entering the homelessness system of care, that we were successful doing prevention. And something that we brought back again to part of our strategies is the Business Council on Homelessness. We did the Business Council on Homelessness in 2017. It was very successful, and we are bringing that to life again. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. If we can move to the next slide. So a little bit about the Business Council. The purpose of the Business Council, again, is a partnership between the public sector and the private sector. And the intent is that we all going to work together to create strategies and funding for affordable housing and homelessness prevention. In 2017, we created the Business Council to abate the encampment that was in front of the downtown library in Fort Lauderdale. It was very successful. We were able to move 87 individuals out of the street into hotels. And after that, we moved them into permanent housing. And with the partnership with Broward County, we were able to keep them in permanent housing for a long time. As of last year, about 82 of those individuals were still housed, which is fantastic. So that we did with the Business Council. So this year we started the Business Council again in partnership with Broward County, partnership with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. And our Business Council this year has 4 areas of work. We call it the Tiger Teams. One that's a specific focus on government. The other one in public relation, public awareness, education. The third target team focus on space and location finding where we can have additional housing units. And the fourth one, the fourth Tiger team is focused on funding identification. How can we bring more resources to Broward County so we can create the housing that we need in order to close the gap? So we are super excited about the public-private partnership that we are creating with the Business Council. If anybody in this call wants to be part of that, you can email me and I'll connect you with our VP of Housing, Dr. Rebecca Maguire, who's doing a fantastic job leading that initiative for us. So that's the Business Council. Now, I want to tell you a little bit that for us, for United Way, performance management is important. Everything we do, we always looking at performance, looking at the return that we're getting on the investment that we're making. So here you see a timeline of everything we've been doing since 2018. It's a lot of information to cover. I'm just going to highlight a few things that we have done. One of them was in 2018, the abatement of the encampment. In 2018, at the end of 2017 and 18, creating the Business Council on Homelessness. In 2019, we did an amazing partnership with the City of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you, Commissioner Ben. With the City of Fort Lauderdale, it was over $800,000 that together we invested to create additional resources in the homeless system of care. In 2020, we created a strategic plan that I shared with you about, and we started implementing the strategic plan. On a monthly basis, we're collecting data on that plan to see that where we're investing our dollars, we're really making a difference, that we're really, really getting a good return in the investment. As part of the 5-year plan, we also created a dashboard. If you go into United Way of Broward website, United for Housing, you see there the dashboard that tell you exactly what are the life condition of everything around affordable housing. How are we doing as a county when it comes to affordable housing? What is affordable? How many units are available? You see all of that in the dashboard that we created in our website. And this last year, we created a new position for to help us manage and work this and move this work forward. And that's our VP of Housing Initiative, and that's Dr. Rebecca McGuire. Just to give you an idea of this timeline that you see there, that we are keeping track, that we are counting everything that we are doing. We're looking at the numbers, we're assessing with the community. We want to make sure that the work that we are doing, that the donations that we're receiving from many of you that may be in this meeting and those partners that we have in the community, that your dollars are really making a difference. So that performance management is super important to us. Next. So I want to share with you a little bit about some of our projects now, how all of these that I've been sharing with you come to life. So the project that you see right now is one of our buildings. It's called the West Village Apartments. We have about 17 units in this building. Half of the units are transitional housing for veterans impacted by substance abuse disorders or dual diagnosis. We transition them, they come into our facility. We provide not only the transition housing, but also we provide wraparound services, job trainings, intensive case management, therapeutic services, everything that they need to do better and to become stable. We provide that out of this facility. So that's one part of the building. The other side of the building, we have affordable housing for veterans. And this basically is for veterans that are able to pay affordable payments. And we have a scale of payment for our veterans based on their income. We have about half of these apartment units that are dedicated to those veterans. So the next one that you will see is some of the initiatives that we created as part of the United for Housing in partnership with many other community partners that we have. And you know, this was a long-term partnership that we had for about 2 years. So one of them is the partnership with Habitat for Humanity. We sponsor the development of 12 units for families. The second one you see, we provided funding to make repairs and keep low rent payment for families that we consider allies. Allies are those families that they're working really, really hard, but they still have a hard time meeting the basic needs of housing, childcare, and so on. The third one that you see there is a partnership with the Landmark Development, where we provided gap funding for 99 units, affordable units that will stay affordable for about 15 years. And again, we cannot take credit for all of these. We were just, you know, a partner in this larger and bigger initiative. The next one, if we can go to the next slide, you see other projects that we had funded as part of this initiative. All our bridge we provided gap funding for about 72 affordable housing units. We also did gap funding with Parkview Townhomes and gap funding for the Pinnacle, the Cabana, and this last one, very special. So one of our partner, Marcia, very special to her. This is for seniors, and this is just amazing how it's not only part of our housing work, but it's also part of the work that we are doing for United for Seniors, where we wanted to make sure that we are creating housing stability for senior individuals in Broward County. And I think that's it. So basically, just to wrap it up, for United Way, the work that we are doing is very comprehensive. It's not looking at one thing, it's looking at prevention, looking at maintaining and providing services and strategies and funding. And it's also looking at how do we maintain those, and we support those individuals that are already experiencing homelessness. And, over all of that, we sprinkle all of that with our public policy work and our government relation work. Thank you.
Great. Maria, thank you so much. And again, Patrice, Ben, and Maria, thank you all for that really great conversation and for those presentations. I do want to open up, if you could please use the raise hand. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, you can go to the bottom of your screen under React to raise your hand, just so that we have a little bit of order. If anyone has any questions for any of our speakers, you could go ahead and ask those questions now. I know that we answered some of them in the chat, but I didn't know if anyone else had any other questions. No questions. All right, then those of us in the back. Sharon, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, I was just wanting to know, like, I heard about the affordable housing and things of that nature and the units that she was speaking of, but do you guys have any of those units available now, or how do you get in touch with those particular units, management, property, or whatever the case may be? What's the qualifications? I know I heard her speaking, a lot about the veterans and things of that nature, but like for say a family of 4, how do you go about seeing the criteria? Where could it be? Where's the list?
That's an excellent question. So a lot of these units are still under development, but our community partners will be the one managing that. Now, for anything and everything that has to deal with veterans, you can reach out directly to me, and I'll make sure that units are available and that we connect those veterans with the services they need so that we can house them. For the other ones that I mentioned, a lot of the units are still being developed. They're not ready yet, but it will be with the individual cities that are building those units and the individual developers. And eventually, when these units are available, we're probably going to have something in our website, and recognizing that these units are ready. And here is how you can find more information about it.
Thank you for that great question. William King from BBHC also put another resource into the chat. It is a website called floridahousinsearch.com. So you can also use that to search for affordable units. And then I saw a question on here about the AHF units. You'd need to go to their website and apply. And then I see that Jim Karras has a question for United Way as well. Are the United Way investment in affordable housing grants or loans? If loans, how many will you have to lend out again?
So that's excellent question. They were loan and grants. So it was we were very flexible how we created the funding initiative. Some of them are loans, some of them are grants. Some of them are loans that they will have to pay within 30 years. Others were grants. It was a different scenario for each one of the projects that I mentioned. At this moment, we are not doing any more loans because we depleted some of the resources we have in that area. But with the Business Council, and the community supporting this initiative, we are hoping to grow our pot of money again and be able to grant out more dollars.
Thank you so much for that question. Stephanie, go ahead. Stephanie, are you able to unmute yourself? Let me see. Okay, we'll come back to Stephanie. And then we have Your Worth It Foundation, if you'd like to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. I wanted to ask, how can we, because you were speaking about veterans, and when I spoke with Broward County Public Housing, right now it's not approved for veterans to do co-living, meaning if you have a property, one house and it has multiple bedrooms, because they have found that a lot of veterans do better in recovery when they have someone else there that have been through a similar situation. So what do we have to do in order for it to be approved? So when someone has a house, that you can do co-living for veterans also, even if they're getting subsidized from Section 8, if they're voucher holders. What do we have to do to help that process?
So because it's Section A is a completely different ball game of how that can happen. That's a conversation that needs to happen actually with the VA and with Section A. We do co-living. Some of our veterans are doing transitional that we do in transitional housing for. They do share rooms. We are allowed to do that, but that's under the contract that we have created with the VA. So I would love to be able to help you with that. Maybe I can connect you with a VA representative that's managing all of the housing projects and see where the conversation goes. I'll be happy to facilitate that.
So yeah, so the shared housing model is certainly something that Broward County is, and when I say Broward County, I don't mean Broward County government. I mean Broward County as a community is something that they're leaning into. But there are certainly different rules and regulations associated with different pots of dollars that come either from the state or from the federal government that have to be adhered to. Thank you so much for that question. Kim, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself as well.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. I really enjoyed the presentation. Just a quick question. Is there any funding available for purchasing additional shelter beds in Broward County? And if so, who would I talk to about an opportunity that I'm aware of?
I think Patrice's contact information was put in the chat. And so you could probably reach out directly to Patrice, who is the director of HOS over at Broward County government. And since we are coming up on time, I want to again thank you everyone for participating today. Thank you for the great questions, both those in the chat and those that were asked. An extra special thank you to all of our speakers today, to our funders at Wells Fargo and PNC Bank, to all of our community partners. We do have a short survey that we would love for you to fill out. It was just dropped into the link. And again, we want to emphasize that all of this information, all of the presentations, and a recording of this call will be made available to all of you. You could visit ccbroward.org. And if you have any additional questions, comments, or concerns, you could definitely connect with us through the website. Again, thank you all for participating today, and we look forward to having you at our next Housing Broward workshop series.